A raccoon was caught in a trap. The trap closed, the raccoon was confined. The raccoon's body was held in a space too small to move. The raccoon struggled. The raccoon panicked. The raccoon experienced terror. And then, eventually, the raccoon escaped or was released. The immediate terror ended. But the memory did not end. Years pass. The trap is gone. The trap is no longer set. The trap is no longer even visible in the space. But the raccoon still remembers. The raccoon avoids that location. The raccoon has learned a new route around the area. The raccoon's entire behavior has been shaped by the memory of the trap. The raccoon has not simply moved on. The raccoon has not simply forgotten. The raccoon carries the trauma of the trap experience with her. The raccoon has integrated that memory into her being. And if this raccoon encounters another raccoon, the knowledge may be passed. The warning may be communicated. The avoidance strategy may be shared. Tonight you are going to understand what raccoons remember about the traps you set, and you are going to understand that when you set a trap, you are not simply capturing a raccoon. You are creating a memory that will haunt that raccoon for years. You are teaching that raccoon something about humans. You are shaping her world. Welcome back to Hidden Backyard Wildlife, the channel where we sit with the small wild lives that share our yards and try to understand what they understand about the world. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe before this video is over, because what you are about to learn is going to change the way you understand raccoon memory, because you will finally understand that traps do not simply remove raccoons from locations. Traps create lasting memories. Traps create trauma. Traps teach raccoons that humans are dangerous. Today we are walking through 8 things raccoons remember about the traps you set. What each of those things reveals about the depth and persistence of animal memory. What researchers have discovered about trap trauma in wild animals. And why a raccoon that was trapped years ago is still avoiding the location, is still teaching other raccoons about the danger, is still living with the wound of the experience. Stay with me from beginning to end because revelation number 6 is the one that explains the neurochemistry of trap trauma. And revelation number 8 is the one that will make you understand that every trap you set creates a legacy. Every trap you set marks a raccoon forever. Every trap you set ripples through raccoon society, teaching distrust of humans, teaching fear, teaching avoidance. The memory is permanent, the learning is passed on, the conflict is deepened. The first thing a raccoon remembers about a trap is the exact location where the trap was set. The raccoon's spatial memory is extraordinary. The raccoon knows her territory with remarkable precision. The raccoon has a detailed cognitive map of every location within her range. When a trap is set in her territory, the trap becomes a specific point on this mental map. The raccoon learns, this location contains danger. This spot is marked. If the raccoon was trapped, the raccoon experienced the trap being sprung at this location. The raccoon's brain encoded the trap location as a specific point of trauma. If the raccoon was not directly trapped but encountered the trap, the raccoon learned that this location contains an unknown danger. The raccoon's threat detection system flagged this spot. And years later, the raccoon remembers. The raccoon's cognitive map still contains this location. The raccoon's internal representation of her territory still includes this danger zone. When the raccoon moves through her territory, the raccoon avoids this location. The raccoon has learned an alternate route. The raccoon has reorganized her movement patterns to avoid the trap location. Even if the trap is removed, even if years have passed, the raccoon still remembers. The location is still marked in the raccoon's mind as a danger zone. Researchers studying spatial memory in animals have found that prey animals demonstrate remarkably persistent memory for locations of danger or trauma, with animals showing continued avoidance of trap sites for years after the trap has been removed, suggesting that spatial memory of danger is deeply encoded and long-lasting. The location is remembered, the spot is marked, the avoidance continues. Beyond the location, the raccoon remembers the sensory details of the trap itself. If the raccoon encountered the trap directly or was caught in the trap, she experienced the trap through all of her sensory systems. Tactile sensation. The raccoon felt the snap of the trap closing. The raccoon felt the metal or wood or whatever material the trap was made of. The raccoon's sensitive paws touched the trap. The touch sensations were encoded. Auditory sensation. The raccoon heard the trap snap closed. The raccoon heard the sound of the trap door or spring. The sound was startling, sudden, frightening. The auditory memory was encoded. Olfactory sensation. The raccoon smelled the trap. The raccoon smelled the human scent on the trap. The raccoon smelled the bait or lure inside the trap. The scent was associated with danger. The olfactory memory was encoded. Visual sensation. The raccoon saw the trap. The raccoon's visual system recorded the appearance of the trap, the mechanism, the design. The visual memory was encoded. Pain sensation. If the trap caused injury or discomfort, the raccoon experienced pain. Pain creates powerful memory encoding. The pain memory was encoded. Years later, if the raccoon encounters the trap again, or if the raccoon encounters a similar trap, the sensory memories activate. The raccoon recognizes the danger. The raccoon's fear response is triggered by the sensory cues. The raccoon may avoid any trap-like objects in her territory. The raccoon may become suspicious of any unusual objects or mechanisms. Researchers studying sensory memory in animals have found that multisensory experiences create particularly strong and long-lasting memories, with animals showing recognition and appropriate responses to previously experienced stimuli for years or even the lifetime of the animal, suggesting that the trap experience creates a multisensory memory engram that persists. The sensory memory is vivid. The details are remembered. The recognition is automatic. If the raccoon was actually caught in the trap, the raccoon remembers the experience itself. The moment the trap closed, the door shut. The raccoon was confined. The space that was free suddenly became enclosed. The claustrophobia began. The raccoon struggled to escape. The raccoon pulled and pushed against the trap walls. The raccoon's strength was useless. The raccoon could not break free. The helplessness set in. The panic. The raccoon's nervous system went into crisis mode. Adrenaline flooded the system. The raccoon's heart raced. The raccoon's breathing became frantic. The terror was complete. The time trapped. Minutes or hours passed while the raccoon was confined. The raccoon did not know if rescue was coming. The raccoon did not know if death was coming. The uncertainty was agonizing. The release or escape. Eventually, the raccoon was released or escaped. The relief came. The immediate terror ended. But the emotional memory did not end. The raccoon remembers the terror. The raccoon remembers the helplessness. The raccoon remembers what it felt like to be confined, unable to escape. This memory becomes part of the raccoon's trauma history. This memory shapes the raccoon's behavior and psychology. The raccoon may develop a kind of claustrophobia. The raccoon may avoid enclosed spaces. The raccoon may respond with extreme fear if she feels confined again. The memory influences the raccoon's social behavior. The raccoon may become more suspicious of humans. The raccoon may become more defensive. The raccoon may become more aggressive in protecting her young, fearful that they will be trapped as she was. Researchers studying trauma in animals have found that trapped animals show measurable psychological changes after the experience, including increased anxiety, heightened vigilance, behavioral avoidance, and altered social behavior, suggesting that trap trauma creates a lasting psychological wound. The trauma is real, the memory is visceral, the impact is profound. The raccoon does not keep this dangerous knowledge to herself. The raccoon communicates with other raccoons in her territory. The raccoon may be part of a family group. The raccoon may encounter other raccoons during her nightly movements. When the raccoon communicates about the trap location, the knowledge spreads. The teaching happens through direct communication. The raccoon may vocalize warnings. The raccoon may make specific calls or sounds that alert other raccoons to danger. Other raccoons learn to associate the vocalization with the trap location. Scent communication. The raccoon may mark the trap location or the trap area with scent. The raccoon's scent marks communicate, danger here, stay away. Other raccoons smell the warning and learn to avoid. Behavioral modeling. Other raccoons may observe the original trapped raccoon avoiding the trap location. Other raccoons learn through observation. This location is to be avoided. This route should not be taken. Experience sharing. If other raccoons are also caught in the same trap, they develop their own memories of the trap. Multiple raccoons now carry the knowledge. Multiple raccoons now teach other raccoons. Over time, the knowledge spreads through the raccoon population. Multiple raccoons avoid the trap location. Multiple raccoons know about the danger. Multiple raccoons teach younger raccoons about the danger. Mothers may teach their bobbies, stay away from this location. Danger here. The bobbies learn from birth to avoid the trap location. The bobbies may never have experienced the trap themselves, but they know to avoid it because their mother taught them. Researchers studying information transfer in social animals have found that dangerous place knowledge is often shared among group members, with some individuals who have directly experienced danger teaching other individuals who have not, suggesting that trap knowledge is a transmissible form of social information. The teaching spreads, the knowledge grows, the avoidance becomes widespread. As the raccoon integrates the trap memory into her being, she develops sophisticated strategies to avoid future traps. The raccoon avoids the trap location entirely. The raccoon has learned a new route through her territory. The raccoon takes a path that does not go near the trap. The raccoon's nightly movements are reorganized. The raccoon becomes suspicious of new objects. The raccoon has learned that humans place devices designed to harm. The raccoon now views any new object in her territory with suspicion. The raccoon may not approach unfamiliar objects. The raccoon may investigate carefully from a distance. The raccoon develops testing behaviors. The raccoon may have learned to probe or test objects before fully engaging with them. The raccoon may use a stick or her foot to test before putting her face or body into a space. The raccoon develops strategies to reduce the risk of being trapped. The raccoon avoids confined spaces. The raccoon may become more cautious about entering small enclosed areas like storm drains, trash cans, or similarly enclosed spaces. The raccoon may be more willing to investigate open spaces where escape is possible. The raccoon learns to read human intent. The raccoon may develop the ability to distinguish between humans who set traps and humans who do not. The raccoon may become more fearful of some humans and more tolerant of others. The raccoon teaches these strategies to her offspring. The mother raccoon passes along not just the knowledge that the trap location is dangerous, but the strategies for avoiding traps in general. The offspring learn, approach unknown objects carefully, test before entering spaces, avoid locations that look suspicious. These strategies represent a kind of cultural learning. The trap avoidance strategies are passed from generation to generation. Raccoons who were never trapped learn to avoid traps because their mothers taught them. Researchers studying learning and behavior in trap-experienced animals have found that animals show escalating sophistication in avoidance strategies following trap experiences, with animals showing increased caution, testing behaviors, and route changes that persist for years, suggesting that trap experience creates lasting behavioral modifications. The strategies are sophisticated, the learning is deep, the adaptation is complete. This is the revelation that explains the physiology of trap trauma, and it is the moment when you understand that trap trauma is not just psychological. The trap experience has literally changed the raccoon's brain chemistry. When a raccoon is trapped, the stress response systems are maximally activated. Cortisol and adrenaline flood the system. The fight-flight-freeze systems are engaged at the highest level. The amygdala, the fear and emotional processing center, is hyperactive. The amygdala is encoding the trap experience as a threat at the deepest level. If the raccoon was injured during trapping, additional neurochemical cascades are activated. Pain compounds the stress response. Trauma becomes layered. But beyond the acute stress response, the trap experience creates lasting changes in the raccoon's neurochemistry. Baseline stress hormones remain elevated. The trapped raccoon's baseline cortisol levels may remain somewhat elevated even after the trap experience. The raccoon is operating with a higher background level of stress. Threat sensitivity is increased. The raccoon's amygdala becomes more reactive to potential threats. The raccoon is more easily startled. The raccoon is more quickly frightened. Dopamine reward systems may be dampened. The raccoon may show reduced pleasure or reward seeking in situations that were previously rewarding. The raccoon's motivation may be affected by the trauma. Anxiety systems are heightened. The raccoon's anxiety-related neurochemistry is affected. The raccoon may show increased anxiety in novel situations. These neurochemical changes are not temporary. They may persist for years. In some cases, they may persist for the lifetime of the animal. The result is a raccoon whose neurochemistry has been altered by the trap experience. The raccoon is not the same being she was before the trap. The raccoon's brain has been changed by the trauma. Researchers studying trap trauma neurochemistry in animals have found measurable alterations in stress hormone levels, fear response thresholds, and reward processing systems in previously trapped animals, with some changes persisting for years after the trapping event, suggesting that trap trauma creates lasting neurochemical alterations. The neurochemistry is changed, the brain is altered, the trauma is written in biology. Some raccoons may develop the ability to recognize and remember specific humans. If a particular human set the trap, the raccoon may learn to associate that human with danger. The raccoon may recognize the human by appearance, scent, or behavioral patterns. The raccoon's response to that human may be different from her response to other humans. The raccoon may flee immediately when she encounters the trap-setting human. The raccoon may become aggressive toward that human. The raccoon may approach other humans with less fear, distinguishing them from the human who set the trap. This recognition is not universal in raccoons, but it has been documented. Some individuals show this level of memory and discrimination. The raccoon may communicate to other raccoons, "This particular human is dangerous. This human sets traps." Other raccoons may learn to avoid this human. Some researchers speculate that raccoons that have been trapped multiple times by the same human show particularly strong recognition and avoidance of that human. The repeated trap experience deepens the association between the human and the danger. The recognition creates a conflict between the raccoon and the human. The human may view the raccoon as a pest to be removed. The raccoon may view the human as a predator to be feared or avoided. Researchers studying individual recognition of humans in wild animals have found that some animals can recognize and remember individual humans, with raccoons showing particular ability to distinguish between familiar and unfamiliar humans, suggesting that human-specific recognition is possible, particularly in the context of negative experiences. The recognition is possible, the memory is specific, the conflict is personal. And this is the revelation that explains the deepest impact of the trap. The trap memory becomes part of who the raccoon is. The trapped raccoon is no longer the same raccoon she was before the trap. The experience has changed her. The memory has shaped her. The trauma has altered her being. The trap has left a mark. The mark is visible in how she moves through her territory. The mark is visible in her wariness. The mark is visible in her teaching of her offspring. The raccoon has become a being who was trapped. The raccoon carries this identity. The raccoon knows herself as a survivor of the trap. The raccoon knows herself as a teacher of trap avoidance. And the legacy continues. The raccoon teaches her bobbies. The bobbies grow knowing about traps. The bobbies grow more cautious, more wary, more suspicious of humans because their mother was trapped. The trap that caught one raccoon has ripples that extend to her offspring and their offspring. The knowledge spreads through the population. More and more raccoons know about traps. More and more raccoons avoid traps. More and more raccoons are wary of humans. The trap-setting human may see this as success. The raccoon is avoiding the trap. But the reality is more complex. The human has created a memory. The human has created a trauma. The human has created a being shaped by fear and mistrust. The raccoon will carry this memory for the rest of her life. The raccoon will teach her offspring about this memory. The trap trauma will ripple through generations of raccoons. Some raccoons may develop a kind of permanent avoidance of all traps. Some raccoons may develop a kind of permanent distrust of humans. The trap has changed not just the one raccoon, but potentially the entire social group. This is the cost of setting traps. This is what happens when you trap a raccoon. You are not simply removing a raccoon. You are creating a memory. You are creating a trauma. You are creating a being shaped by fear. You are rippling that fear and trauma through the raccoon population. The trap becomes a boundary between the raccoon and humanity. The trap marks the place where the raccoon learned that humans are dangerous. The trap marks the moment when the raccoon's trust, if it ever existed, was broken. Some raccoons may recover from the trauma over time. Some raccoons may become more trusting of humans again if the trap setting stops, but other raccoons may never fully recover. Other raccoons may carry the fear for the rest of their lives. The trap memory is not erased. The trap memory becomes part of the raccoon's history. The trap becomes part of who she is. That is what raccoons remember about the traps you set. That is what persists, even years later. The memory, the trauma, the learned distrust, the altered being. Before I go, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer in the comments below. Have you ever set a trap? Have you trapped a raccoon? If you did, do you know what happened to that raccoon? Have you wondered if that raccoon recovered? Have you wondered if that raccoon is still alive? Have you wondered what that raccoon carries from that experience? Tell me about it. What happened? How did the raccoon respond? Did you feel the weight of what you had done? Have you set traps since? The stories this hidden backyard wildlife community shares are some of the most extraordinary and honest I read every week. And every single one of them matters, because every single one of them is a story about the impact of our choices on wild beings. If anything in this video changed the way you understand traps and their consequences, if it changed what you will do the next time you consider setting a trap, share it with someone who would understand. Sometimes the right perspective at the right moment changes not just what we do, but who we are. Thank you for being here at Hidden Backyard Wildlife. The next time you consider setting a trap, pause. Recognize that traps create memories. Recognize that traps create trauma. Recognize that the raccoon you trap will carry that trauma for years. Recognize that you are teaching that raccoon and her entire social group that humans are dangerous. Recognize that you are creating a legacy of fear and distrust. There are other options. There are ways to remove raccoons that do not involve traps. There are ways to coexist that do not require this level of harm. The choice is yours, but know the cost of your choice. The raccoon you trap will remember. She will carry that memory. She will teach that memory to her bobbies. She will live with that memory for the rest of her life. That memory is a mark you will leave on her being. That is the true cost of the trap. I will see you in the next one.